Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to That's Football. This is your latest transfer news and we've got some big news coming out this morning as Arsenal move ahead in the race for Raphina. We'll also be talking about Sterling and Rice to Chelsea. We've had good information on that a couple of weeks ago and it looks like it's coming to fruition as well as other transfer news. But let's hit it on the big news this morning. Now look, it's early days but it's coming in from various sources that Arsenal are ahead of Barcelona in the race for Raphina. That Leeds want to get a deal done and that Raphina doesn't want to wait on Barcelona, who seem to be doing quite a lot of things. They want Lewandowski, they want Koundé, they want Bernardo Silva, they want to sell De Jong, and Raphina looks like he wants to move. And Arsenal, I've got to say, are looking very opportunistic in this transfer window. How much money have they got to spend? That's an interest. How much ambition have they got? It looks big. They've already brought this Vieira lad in. They're looking at centre backs. They're looking at strikers. They're looking very active in this transfer window, and Raphina would be a really good signing for Arsenal. I mean, Raphina would be a very good signing for Manchester United. You could argue it'd be a good signing for Chelsea. Barcelona want him, so there's no messing around with this 25-year-old Premier League proven left-footed right winger. And you would say that this is the end of Pepe, but that would not be breaking news. Pepe is clearly not part of Arteta's plans. Massive outlay by Arsenal on Pepe, but it's just not worked out. They need a player who can play from that right hand side. Obviously, Saka's been doing it very well and works very well there, but they obviously feel they need a little bit more than that. The left hand side as well. He could play off there. Saka can play off there. So I think it shows real ambition from Arsenal to jump in on a deal that maybe everyone thought was going to go elsewhere, and opportunistic, like I say. And I don't know what they'd end up paying for him, maybe 40-50 million quid, but it's I've got to say, Arsenal for me last season were better than Manchester United. They finished above us, and we need a player like Raphina, and our hope is that we probably go and get someone like Anthony. But if we don't buy anybody in, and Arsenal do buy somebody in, again, we all want to be Man City and Liverpool, but I look at teams like Arsenal and Spurs and I think, well, they're just being better in the transfer market at the moment. And I mean, there's talk of Arsenal spending in excess of £150 million, which is amazing. They've got to bring a striker in at some point as well, which we think will be Gabriel Jesus. And you start to construct what Arsenal's transfer window could be. And with Vieira, Raphina, Jesus, a midfielder, and a centre back, that's got to be over 150 million quid. And it's good business as well. So I watched this with interest. I really always felt that Raphina was going to go to Barcelona, but I watched this with interest, and I think it's an intriguing deal for Arsenal to do, who seem to be going through the gears quite quickly in mid to late June as they prepare for what is going to be an early start to the season for everybody. And I think it's really important as well for Arsenal, Spurs, Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, and every other club. Let's remember, there's no little mini breaks. You don't start the season and play 3 games and have an international break and then play 4 games and have an international break. You play, I think, 8 or 9 Premier League games before an international break at the end of September, and then you do it again before the World Cup. So if you start that season badly, and look, Arsenal, I mentioned Arsenal deliberately. Arsenal did this last season. They started the season, they lost to Brentford, and I think they lost to Man City and Chelsea, wasn't it? Or maybe it was Liverpool. So they had no points, but an international break came. They came back from the international break and they went and won games and got back into it. If you started the season like that this time, you'd get 3 or 4 days, or maybe a week if you're lucky, and then you're playing your next Premier League game. So it's so important to start with momentum, and therefore it's so important to have your players in ready. You don't want to be that team that at the start of August still hasn't got all the players you want in, still hasn't got all the players you want out, and you sort of stumble through August. And then suddenly you've dropped 6, 7, 8 points, and then you get new players in, but there's no international break, so they go straight into the team. By the end of September and them 8 games, you might be mid-table and out of it. So it's very important, I think, for teams to get business done early this season, and I'm not hearing that enough because I think it's very logical, and I think that's why this season, more than probably any other season, and it helps there's no summer tournament, of course, but we are seeing more activity earlier in this transfer window than we have done traditionally. And I think that's why, because people know there's no adjustment period in the Premier League. One team that's not done any business at the moment is Chelsea. Now, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and thankfully I tweeted it. I know I said it on a video, but I did tweet it, that I'd been told around early June that Chelsea Sterling was a deal that looked very likely to happen. It was a very out there statement at the time, And over the weekend, this has become a very in there statement. So good information on that. Reminds me of this information we got on Grealish last year, where we said it, 4 or 5 weeks before it actually happened. Some deals are sorted in advance, by the way. I said it on the Champions League night that I'd been told by somebody who was quite close to Liverpool that Nunez to Liverpool looked like it was going to happen. And at that time, it was very quiet on Nunez to Liverpool. It was more about Nunez to Man United or Atletico Madrid. But Liverpool had obviously done a lot of background work on that. And it's now come to pass that even as far back as Liverpool playing Benfica, there was potentially some conversations going on. So deals can be backed up for quite a while and then not really hit the press until they're very close to happening. This is clearly what's happening with Sterling. There's a lot going on. I find this deal quite odd. I mean, Chelsea and Man City were playing a Champions League final just over a year ago. For Chelsea to be selling Sterling for 35 million for Man City to be selling Sterling to Chelsea for 35 million, there is a rivalry there, but I think Pep's very confident in what he wants, and Sterling probably wants to play more football. I mean, interestingly, obviously Sterling had that it was a racist incident, wasn't it? Was it at Stamford Bridge with those fans? But I mean, look, I think it would be a wrong situation. Obviously, it's down to Sterling what he wants to do, but I think Raheem Sterling would be wrong to say I'm not going to join Chelsea because a Chelsea fan was racist towards me. The whole point is that that person quite rightly was banned and dealt with, and that doesn't reflect entirely on football and entirely on that fan base. So I think Chelsea and Sterling would work really well, and Sterling obviously I believe is a London lad. I think Sterling at Chelsea would work really, really well. I think Chelsea need a player like Sterling who, when you get the ball in the final third, is capable of doing something with it. And I think stepping out of the shadow of Pep for Sterling would be interesting, because I remember when he first broke through at Liverpool, he was a very exciting player. Pep took him to another level, and it'd be quite a trinity of clubs to play for in the Premier League for Raheem Sterling. So I'd be quite interested to see him playing for Chelsea and what he would do. Actually, you know what? Raheem Sterling's a very interesting player, because we talk about him, and he's such an important player. He's 27 years of age, Raheem Sterling. So 27 years of age, absolutely in his prime, and his contract runs out in 2023. So 1 year left on his deal. That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's basically why that fee is that. That's what just dropped into my head, actually. So I think that's an interesting deal for Chelsea, and it certainly looks like it's going to happen. Declan Rice, I did mention Declan Rice, and I was talking about it this morning on a Twitch stream that I did. Chelsea really want Declan Rice. Manchester United really want Declan Rice. I think Man City would like Declan Rice, but Chelsea do really want Declan Rice. Declan Rice really wants to go from West Ham in a respectful way. West Ham fans love Declan Rice, and they should love him. He's not going to whack a transfer request in or anything like that. I think it's very obvious he won't sign a new contract, and it's very obvious that he wants to move, but it's not because he dislikes West Ham. It's because he wants to play in the Champions League. He feels he should be playing at the top level, and I agree. And I think Chelsea or a Man City afford him that. The problem is, I don't think they can afford him, and I think West Ham are probably asking for unreasonable money, but it's not unreasonable if you're a West Ham fan, is it? That you want as much money as you can get for one of your best players. Do I think this will happen this summer? I think Chelsea at the moment are doing nothing. So it's very difficult to say Declan Rice won't join Chelsea this summer. Everyone's saying it won't happen. It'll happen next summer. But, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think Declan Rice would love it to happen. Chelsea would love it to happen. And I think West Ham want to keep him for a year. I'd say watch the space with that. It could just happen very quickly. The logical thing is that it will happen next summer, but I really think from West Ham's point of view, if you could get £80 million for him now, it's got to be better than £60 million in a year's time. But maybe they think, well, we'll have a big season. But I don't think West Ham will have a big season this year, because I think Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea will obviously be in the top four. Spurs are looking really good. Arsenal are spending well. United will spend well. That's 6 clubs. So West Ham, that puts them in 7th at best for me, which is pretty much what they did last year. So I don't know. I think keeping Declan Rice for another year, I'd probably sell him if you could get 80, 90 million quid for him. But then again, I don't think Chelsea want to spend 80, 90 million pound on him either. So maybe Chelsea are thinking, let's wait a year. But You never know. I think that's a deal that should happen this summer, but maybe it won't do. But anyway, like I said, Raphina to Arsenal, if that happens, that's a really good deal for them. Sterling for Chelsea looks like it's going to happen. Dembele, apparently that's a bit of a red herring. That was a deal that looked like it was going to happen, but actually he may well end up staying at Barcelona, but Chelsea's probably unlikely. They could get Dembele and Sterling. You never know with Chelsea. It is a new owner. It is a new Chelsea. Maybe they'll get both, but Sterling's certainly looking good. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. You're very welcome on That's Football, as you know. Get your comments in below and give me your thoughts. I'll speak to you on the next one.